Here's your podcast script. Trump wants to own the nation's 250th birthday, but states have their own plans. That's the headline from the New York Times, and it's a story about how America is marking a major milestone in very different ways depending on where you are. So here's the setup. When he was on the campaign trail in 2023, President Trump promised a year-long, quote, spectacular birthday party for the country's 250th anniversary. Since returning to office, he's delivered a military parade, a UFC fight on the White House lawn, and just last week, he opened something called the Great American State Fair, a 16-day patriotic extravaganza on the National Mall in Washington. Critics have accused him of hijacking the anniversary for political gain. And honestly, that debate has gotten pretty loud in recent weeks. But here's what's easy to miss in all that noise: while Washington has been tied up in partisan rancor, states across the country have quietly been doing their own thing. And they've been at it for years. We're talking festivals, parades, rodeos, potlucks, and a whole lot of history. Virginia has poured more than $20 million into anniversary projects, including a nationally televised event at Colonial Williamsburg on the 4th of July. Utah is organizing something called America's Potluck Community Meals linked across all 50 states on July 5. Hawaii's commission is coordinating simultaneous readings of the Declaration of Independence on all 7 continents. But here's where it gets really interesting. For states outside the original 13 colonies, the question of what to do with the 250th isn't simple. As Jason Hansen, the chief creative officer at History Colorado, put it, and I'm paraphrasing here, your typical rah-rah American Revolution story just doesn't resonate west of the Mississippi. So History Colorado built an exhibition called Moments That Made Us. 50 turning points in American history, told through 50 kiosks. You've got George Washington's spurs from Valley Forge, Jackie Robinson's bat, Nixon's Oval Office tape recorder. But you also get a Spanish-language printing of the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the treaty that ended the Mexican-American War and handed over more than half of Mexico's territory, including parts of present-day Colorado, to the United States. As Hansen put it, if you were an American, that looked like manifest destiny. If you were Mexican or indigenous, it looked like something else entirely. The Denver Post called the show a, quote, middle finger to Trump's vision of American history. Hansen himself just says the goal is to break down the simplistic binary of patriotic versus woke and to show that history is a series of choices that people shape at every turn. And the reach of this project is remarkable. History Colorado made a free, print-on-demand version of the exhibit available to anyone. So far it's been downloaded at more than 600 sites across at least 36 states, red and blue alike. Arizona adapted it into a mobile museum that traveled the state. In Kansas, more than 40 institutions are using it, including a tiny historical society in a town of fewer than 1,800 people that just printed the panels on regular paper and taped them up in the front window. Kansas, notably a strongly Republican state, even included panels on Brown versus Board of Education and Gilbert Baker, the Kansas-born creator of the original Rainbow Pride flag. A historian who worked on the project says there's been little pushback. Her explanation? Kansas loves its history. Left, right and center, we all kind of get behind John Brown. John Didle, the head of the American Association for State and Local History, summed it up well. He said what's being planned in Washington is top-down spectacle celebrating one take on American history. But the states, he says, are looking much more broadly than that. He's hoping, like the bicentennial of 1976, that this anniversary becomes a moment when 1,000 local flowers bloom. And whether or not Washington's version of the celebration lands, it sounds like a lot of those flowers are already blooming in Denver museum galleries, in Arizona parking lots, and in small-town windows from Connie, Kansas to the Pacific Northwest. That's the story America at 250, told not just from the top down, but from the ground up.